The Life of Chuck is the new film from Mike Flanagan. If you're unfamiliar with him, he's probably most well known now for his multiple Netflix miniseries like The Haunting of Hill House, Blythe Manor, Midnight Mass, The Fall of the House of Usher. He's also the man behind several Stephen King adaptations over the last few years like Dr. Sleep, Gerald's Game, and now The Life of Chuck. He also did Oculus, Absentia, The Only Good Ouija movie, and Before I Wake. But The Life of Chuck is not a horror movie, but I'll keep it a buck. This movie freaked me out more than most of Mike Flanagan's horror movies or series, probably because of what it's saying, or at least how I interpreted it on first viewing. I'm making this video more to work out my own thoughts, so total spoiler warning from here on, and I want to hear what you guys thought of this movie in the comments. Let me know. Thanks for watching this. Let's go. The movie is about a guy named Chuck who at 39 years old dies of a brain tumor. The end. That's sort of the gist of it, because the movie doesn't follow Chuck the way like 50-50 follows JGL, or the way Fault in Our Stars follows Shailene Woodley. It's not a cancer drama or a tumor drama. It is a drama, but the story Flanagan wants to tell is a lot more abstract and more existential. Wow, surprise, surprise. Flanagan is no stranger to asking the big questions in his work. Midnight Mass, in my opinion, is his best work because it's scary, yes, but the main reason it develops that terror is by letting tons of characters dissect these gargantuan questions about life and death and faith and God and everything. And The Life of Chuck takes a different approach to attacking the same themes. The Life of Chuck is told in 3 acts, played out in reverse order. In Act 3, we get to experience an all too realistic apocalypse. We don't get much info about what's happening outside of the 2 characters that we follow, but that's sort of understandable given the internet has gone extinct. We know that California has broke off into the ocean, we know that Pornhub is dead, and for some mysterious reason we know that Chuck Krantz seems to be retiring after 39 great years. Chuck only comes into the movie in Acts 2 and 1, which was really interesting because I had no clue what was going on when the movie started, but I was pretty invested. Our 2 main characters in Act 3 are played by Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillian as ex-partners Marty and Felicia. Act 3 follows them as they come to the slow realization that the world really is about to end. Jobs don't matter, news doesn't really matter. Chuck Krantz matters though. They keep seeing billboards and signs all over town for Chuck Krantz, by the way. No one knows who he is or why his 39 years is more important than the end of the world, but Marty can't figure it out and it's the end of the world and he's missing his ex. So Marty decides to run all the way to Felicia's house to see her, maybe for the last time, and on his way there, the billboard for Chuck that he's been seeing becomes more than just a standard billboard. It fills the windows of every house Marty walks past, and not just still images. Chuck sitting at his desk feeling happy or sad, but mostly happy. It's super surreal, and I thought it was an exceptional way to let the audience in on what Flanagan's goal is here. The story is about everything because everything is about Chuck. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. Anyway, Marty is super freaked out by Chuck's moving image filling every house and seemingly the world. Marty and Felicia embrace, and they seem to both come to the conclusion that the only thing that matters is each other. All of their past issues just don't hold any weight now, and they reconnect and share a nice moment right before the stars and the planets start blinking out of existence in front of them. And then they too disappear into nothingness. End of Act 3. So at this point, I'm pretty staggered. I didn't read the King short story or read much of anything about the movie. I just knew it was Mike Flanagan's new joint, and that was all I needed to go see it. I wasn't expecting so little Chuck, you know. I did know Jacob Tremblay was in it, who is my favorite actor. That's canon. Acts 2 and 1 bring us much, much closer to Chuck, and the rest of the movie is more what I expected the whole movie to be like. We see Chuck as a man somewhere in his mid to late 30s walking down the street, and he spontaneously starts dancing super well for a drummer on the street busking. He's asked where he learned to dance like that, and then we jump back even further to Chuck's childhood and how his grandmother taught him to dance, and how when his grandpa would get drunk he would talk about having deadly premonitions, and how Chuck learned to push past his insecurities and dance with his crush at prom or whatever, and a lot of other really nice moments with some sad ones sprinkled in there. And every character delivers a monologue about existence and reality and all sorts of heady topics, and they deliver it straight into Chuck's face as he just tries to grow up and become a full independent person with their own perception of themselves and the universe. Easy, right? Easy. good movie. It is an easy movie to talk about. But I will say, the key monologue that explains everything surreal and confusing about how the movie starts comes from Kate Siegel as Miss Richards, Chuck's 5th grade Whitmansplainer. She breaks down what Walt Whitman meant in Song of Myself when he wrote I Contain Multitudes. She tells him that every single thing Chuck has ever experienced, seen, heard, felt, all of the people he's ever met and ever will meet, every city he's been to or even imagined that he hasn't yet, the planets and stars and galaxies, the entire universe is confined inside one single brain, Chuck's brain. It's like the more positive version of the phrase, the world revolves around you. It's not my favorite performance or monologue in the movie, but I do think it's the most important. We don't really know much about Chuck since where we left him as a kid. We don't spend much time with him as Tom Hiddleston, but we see him find his spark again after however long it's been. He dances and brightens everyone's day and makes an incredible memory for a bunch of people to have and cherish for the rest of their lives. As Chuck is dancing though, he gets a little pain or something and has to take a brief pause. The next thing we know about Chuck is that he's dying of a brain tumor. All those planets and stars blinking out of existence, the entire universe and everything else died because Chuck died. Chuck is in this movie plenty because by the end we learn that it's all Chuck. It's abstract and obtuse, and one could argue it's kind of meandering, but it created a feeling that really did connect with me. It's not a that's a plot hole kind of movie. It would feel misplaced or mean-spirited to call out lingering plot holes or questions about how it really all works. Those issues are there if you can't help but nitpick, but the life of Chuck's story and structure are intentionally how they are because they're for the audience to experience. The movie's about you. That's why it gets so heartwarming, even though it's about something so mind-bogglingly sad and scary and grim. Because life is full of really bad stuff and really good stuff and kind of boring stuff. It contains multitudes, so it's like this, you are the main character. You'll deal with stuff like Chuck does if you haven't already at some point. It's life-affirming, yeah, but it also affirms a lot of the existential dread that me and a lot of people probably feel. The movie starts with the scary and the grim, but then works its way back to explore, I don't know, Chuck, one insignificant being. But the same way you're the main character in your life, Chuck is the main character of this movie. So just like you do, he contains multitudes. It's about, I don't know, the nature of things. It's hard to talk about, but I wanted to make a video about it because I wanted to put my thoughts down, and if I don't make a video, I probably won't remember how I felt about the life of Chuck a year from now. The life of Chuck is about everything. I don't know. It's overwhelming and thoughtful and gentle and schmaltzy and life-affirming and feels like a hug from old man wet-lipped Mark Hamill. Speaking of the cast, I loved all of these supporting performances, giving these long monologues. Nick Offerman is the narrator, and he's pretty good. I could have done with less narration. That's just not really my tempo, not quite my tempo, but it's fine. Mia Sara was so good. I thought Benjamin Pajek, I think that's how you pronounce it, as the young Chuck is really talented. I love that performance. I hadn't seen him before. Matthew Lillard comes in with basically a one-scene performance that I thought was great and added some dark comic relief to everything. My favorite actor, Jacob Tremblay, is in this. He's grown about 19 feet. I thought he was still pretty good. I cannot believe how little of him there was. It's disgusting. I think this story could have been told in a million different ways, and Flanagan telling it the way he did is a brilliant way into these things that are just so hard to cinematically articulate. It's way easier to articulate them without the positive stuff, like Charlie Kaufman sometimes does. Just exploring existential dread is one thing, but to try and explore it through a semi-whimsical, coming-of-age, Spielbergian earnestness thing, I don't know. It's just not something I've seen done quite this way before. My AC's kicking on, so whatever. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you later. Bye.